Well, good morning, Brooklyn Cafe TV. How are y'all doing out there? Today we have a great show for you coming up, and I want to just say, in the ring, we're going to be in the ring today with some great champions. And in this corner right over here, we have Derrick Santos, world champion trainer, and we also have a world champion, Maureen Shay. And she's got her belts right there with her, and she's award-winning world-class champion boxer, as well as none other than in this corner, the great Mama Ali, Dr. Kalia Ali to be specific. So we hope you enjoy the show as we move on and get some interviews going and some auction items up. We're going to have a great time with you today, so stay tuned.
Well, good morning. How you doing there, Frank?
I'm doing great, Mama. How you doing?
Man, we got some great guests in the house.
We do. We've
got the great, outstanding champion, Maureen Shay.
Maureen Shay is here.
Yeah, she's right here in the awesome. Maureen, how you doing?
Great.
I feel so good. I got goosebumps. You got this great champion.
It's my honor to be here with you today. It really is. So much history and so much experience.
Thank you. I understand that you were the one that got one of the first female belts that was made for female boxers.
Yes, I did fight for the IFBA, and the IFBA came around a little bit before I turned pro, but I was very honored to be able to fight for them and win this belt. You know, it's a real history for women not being recognized by other sanctioning bodies, and the IFBA going out and creating this for us.
Man, it's so great to have you in the audience today. I'm just so happy and honored. You know, I feel like Muhammad Ali's in here, but you know, he's not there. But I wanted to say thank you so much for being on that show. We're going to auction off some great things. I know you've done a lot of mentoring to young kids,
yes,
and young women, and it's just going to go on. And if it wasn't for my best friend, Derrick Santos. Hi, Derrick. How are you?
How you doing, Miss Lally?
Great, Derrick. It's so happy to have you here. And to bring Maureen. I was so excited for you to bring Maureen with us. And Derrick, you know what? You've been traveling around the world for a little while, so you went to a place I know about.
Yes, one of the reasons why I actually brought Maureen with me to the show was that she happened to be with me when we got a private tour of the Muhammad Ali training camp up in Pennsylvania in Deer Lake. We were up there for a different charity event, and we were very fortunate to be able to have that experience. And I must tell you, it was magical. It was captivating.
It was home.
I was in awe, and I felt the spirit there. Like you felt like he was there.
Oh, Ali's essence was definitely there, for sure.
It was amazing.
Oh yeah,
it was amazing.
Well, you know what? That's the place where I actually created the camp. Came up with the idea of the camp on that mountain, and it's just like home to me. We put the rocks up, the what you call the log cabin effect. It was is my basically effect, because I love log cabins, and so that Ali appreciated me putting that together. He just threw a little trailer out there, and we worked out of that trailer until that camp developed into a beautiful place that all champions should go visit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad you got that effect.
Absolutely. I would recommend anybody, children, adults. It's just different. It's like I said, the aura, all the history that's there. Like you said, all the cabins are there. The training facility, I showed pictures of you guys in the trailer. I showed pictures of the camp being built at the time. The rocks are all there. His writing is still on the walls, and it just, the way it was preserved, it was a beautiful thing. It needed to be preserved, because that was very unique. Still is to this day. You know, fighters generally, they may go somewhere or another to have a camp or whatnot, but I think that, you know, that situation there with Ali was just so unique,
So that I'm mistaken, they call it like the champion's heaven?
Yes, Fighters
Yeah,
Heaven.
Fighters
Fighters heaven.
Yes.
Okay.
Fighters heaven.
I know I heard the name heaven.
Yeah.
And it was like heaven being up there during that period. And that was in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania, which you have to fly into Reading
Yeah.
and then drive up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually
Flew
were
into
in Berwick,
Jersey.
Pennsylvania, and we had flown into Philadelphia. And just so happened to be that I was fortunate. I started thinking about it as I was driving and looking at the mountains, and we had a discussion about it. And I was like, this is up here in one of these mountains is where Ali, used to get away and concentrate with his family and just train. And I knew the history of everything. He learned to ride horses there and appreciate all of that, and the peace that he liked and the respect that he had for other fighters, not only during his time but pre history of his time. And just so happened to be that a gentleman overheard me talking about it and knew the caretaker
Yes, sir.
of the property
Yes.
and said, let me call and see if I could. And I said, I'm not leaving here without seeing the place.
That's
So
great.
it
Well,
was
John
great.
Madden had, Joe Madden, John Madden's son had decided to buy it because they couldn't let it just go.
Yeah.
Joe said it to John, like it was such an important piece of history that it was there and it needed to be preserved. And he called his dad and he said, we're going to buy this, and I don't know what we're going to do with it yet, but I know that this is a place that needs to be preserved because it's a very special place, and Muhammad Ali is a very special man. And that's what they did. And they did a great job. And to your credit, it definitely has a woman's feel, a nurturing feel, a home feel. So good job with that. I felt that as a female. Derrick may not have because he's a man, but I definitely felt like there was a love and a tenderness there, and I believe that was in part because of you.
Thank you.
I almost felt like as you walked, like he was watching you. Like he was
Yeah.
like he was
I'm getting
walking
the
with
chills.
you as you walked the behind the gym area in the front in the chalet, and when you went down to the dining room and everything. I looked around and I stopped and I just kind of felt like his spirit was there walking around with you. And it
Well,
was
it's going to be
just-
really
it's
scary
amazing.
for me to go up there because that was home. And it might
emotional, I
even
can
feel
imagine.
even worse with me being up there because I won't even feel him watching. I'll feel him walking with me.
Yeah.
Because we lived up there so long and we had so much fun. Some of the greatest people in the world just coming up there, like Dwayne Johnson when he was a little boy. His dad brought him up there to see Ali train. And look at what happened to him from a little boy to Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
The Rock.
The Rock,
Yeah.
Came
superstar.
out, visit our camp, the before and after of a champion. And a lot of champions have come through there. Joe Frazier's family, a lot of people, George Foreman's family, everybody has been up there. Who was anybody in the boxing world has
Yeah,
been
I saw
there.
Larry Holmes up. a lot
Yeah,
of
Kid
pictures of Holmes up
Gavilan
there.
was our friend. Kid Gavilan, we placed Kid Gavilan actually in one of the bunkers up there. And Kid Gavilan's nephew, he lives in Florida. And he remembered going up there to see his dad. So it's so many people, Geraldo, the great magicians, and Yuri, the mentalist. He came up there. So many people visited us up there at the camp. It was awesome. It was so awesome. It's going to scare me to go back up there, but I have to make that move. But I'm so glad you guys here. You got a lot of memorabilia here. If you want to tell me about these gloves right here.
Well, those gloves that you see there, those are actual rival fight gloves that were literally worn in Maureen's last win.
There
this
might
year
be
in
some blood on
January.
there.
There's actually
Pretty authentic.
very authentic.
So Maureen-
They're not my blood.
Glad it's on there.
So
Opponent
Maureen, you-
DNA still on those gloves.
She signed these personally.
I
yes,
did, yes,
she signed
yes.
them.
That's
They're
awesome.
signed, dated the day of the fight. Was a TKO win. Both gloves are signed the same.
And who is the road?
Now, the cornerman jacket, that happens to be, I was part of a training team that trained multiple-time world champion Sergey Kovalev, who at one time
That's all right.
was, I would say, probably the most feared guy in the 175-pound division at one time. And that jacket was worn
See if everybody can see that.
by
That's
me
it.
in
Right
3
here?
different title defenses I was part of his training team and part of his corner. And I wrote on there the dates of the fights, you know, where they were all KO wins. They were
So
KO, 2 KO wins, and
this
TKO
too?
win. I signed them, dated them. They were all
Oh, this
defenses
is
for
great.
the WBO World Championship. And we had some wonderful memories and
then you have
great,
the boxing,
exciting
you have-
fights on HBO with Sergey Kovalev.
So
And
you have
those are
Maureen
pictures.
and Kova. This is the guy, and this
Yeah.
is Maureen.
Yes.
Right, correct.
Wow, look at
Those
that.
are authenticating. In that picture there, you see those are actually the gloves that Maureen is wearing.
Oh, okay.
And in that picture there, that's actually the jacket I'm wearing there.
Okay. This is also a picture from you when you was up at the camp, Maureen.
Yes.
You was at.
Yes,
I saw
I-
pictures of you going around in the ring up at the camp.
Yeah, shadow boxing in the ring and just,
Shadow
dancing like
boxing.
Ali. It was very surreal.
We also have this the trophy given to me from the National Boxer Association of the Hall of Fame, Muhammad Ali, and it says April 2018, which was given to me by helping Muhammad Ali train for the George Foreman fight. So this is great. I'm glad that they gave me this. It was a tough fight for me to train him, because Ali was like up and down, up and down. I had to kind of threaten him a little bit in order to make him win that fight. I said, if you do not win, I will get Howard Cosell to open up a floor, put on the mat, and I would have to whip him myself. and that one he won't win. So,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't get in the ring with the guy. That's his comfort zone. I'm not going to get in the ring. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to hit. I wouldn't be able to win that way. But I can win on the mat. Yeah, I will be able to win on the mat. Hey, Frank, we're going to have a lot of stuff. We got
a lot of memorabilia here, Mama,
Yeah.
and I'm so excited
How
to
about
have
the ones behind
Derrick
you?
and Maureen
You
here.
show
We got
everybody?
Rocky, the great Rocky Marciano. We've got a autographed portrait here with him, and some other little pictures here in that portrait. And all along here, we got Lou Gehrig, we got Babe Ruth. We've got all kinds of
We have Jackie
memorabilia
Robinson,
here.
Satchel Paige.
So we're gonna
Memorabilia.
these items are gonna be auctioned off, and we're gonna have you call 888-994-4995. We're gonna get together after the break, and we're gonna start the auction probably at what number we want to come up with as far as where we're going to begin. But before we even do that, what I'd like Maureen to do, if she could, is just could you give us a little bit of your history of how you became and wanted to become a boxer?
Sure. I actually never dreamt of being a world champion, let alone a boxer. I always say boxing was a gift from God, and what I do with it is my gift back to Him. I started boxing because I was in an abusive relationship. I actually went to the gym to better myself from my abuser. Then going into the back, I found boxing. And there was a Puerto Rican trainer by the name of Willie Soto who approached me and said, would you like to try? I'm half Mexican, half Irish. I speak fluent Spanish. And so in order for me to connect, I started speaking Spanish to him, and immediately he brought me in. Now, I didn't really know about boxing. I didn't grow up with it. I knew who Mike Tyson was. I knew who Muhammad Ali was, but I wasn't a real aficionado. I wasn't really into it. But I'll tell you, the first time that I found boxing, I was 15 years old, and I was at a friend's house, and his father had people over. They were watching the Tyson-Holyfield fight. I think I was like 15 or 16. And I remember we were just hanging out, and all of a sudden, there was an uproar in the living room. We all ran in, and it was when Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear. And something ironic about that story is that I related to Tyson's anger, rage, and lack of control of his emotions because I struggled a lot myself as a child with anger. And I was kicked out of high school and fighting and just a lot of emotional baggage and misunderstanding. I always felt very disconnected. And sure enough, a couple years later, I walk into this gym and here I am today, a two-time world champion, and I'm just so grateful that that was put in front of me and that I stayed with it as hard as it was, because back then, women weren't introduced into the Olympics until 2013. So there was really no opportunity for me as an amateur to go into the Olympics. But something in my heart told me, Jeremiah 29:11 is my life verse, and God has a purpose for your life. And I just believe this is what I was supposed to do. As hard as it was, I just felt that intuition that we spoke about inside of my soul, like, you're a fighter, you're gonna stick it through this out. And a lot of women do, and I'm so glad that I have. 22 years later, 29-2 with 13 knockouts, going for my third world title. You know, God doesn't make mistakes. So I'm still here. I'm able to share my story. I work with domestic violence victims. I speak to the youth about anti-bullying and self-esteem. I struggle with depression and eating disorders, and I just try to connect and share my testimony, my story about not giving up. So it's really been a blessing.
That's great. You know what? That's so good to hear a young woman like that and her statues giving back to her community. And also, we're going to mention, when she mentioned bullying, we're also going to be auctioning off some coloring books that I created that teach kids and adults etiquettes, old-fashioned values, and good manners. So we're going to be issuing those off. It's going to be really easy. It's more coloring than it is reading. And also, we want to make sure when anybody wants to get in shape, like this young woman, and you want to be mentored by a great trainer, Mr. Derrick Santos is the guy to go to. Where are you located, Derrick?
Currently, I train right here in Boca Raton, actually just down the street from
What's
here.
the name of your gym?
I have a partnership with the city of Boca, Boca Raton PAL, which I also volunteer. Whenever I have time, I volunteer. I've been volunteering for years with their amateur program. They have a great amateur program. The head coach is Lawrence Newton.
So if I was a young man and I wanted to learn to be a fighter or something, would I come down there to the...
Sure.
What's the name of the place again?
Boca PAL.
Boca PAL?
Yeah, sure they could. And, or they could reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at Derrick Santos, boxing head coach, DS Boxing. I came from that. I was an amateur fighter myself, and got into coaching first with the kids. Years ago, I was the head coach for another city team for about 6 years. I worked with a lot of other kids at the time, amateurs, and then I started, trickled into the professional game. I'd done it all, from being the bucket guy to, the third guy to the main assistant.
You ever been a cut man too?
Yes, I've been a cut man, to the main assistant, to now the head coach. It's been a long journey. I've been involved in boxing my whole life. Evelyn Benitez, which is Wilfredo Benitez's sister, was my godmother. Mm-hmm. So even as a child, boxing was always in my family. I used to go to Benitez's house here in Orlando and in Puerto Rico. So we have pictures, I have pictures of Wilfred Benitez when I was little all the time and doing that kind of stuff. So boxing's always been there. Mm-hmm. I at one time was an aspiring, wanting to turn pro too. It didn't happen because life happens.
That's right.
But then I got into coaching, and it started with I had a son who was going to karate classes. Okay. And an old professional referee saw me and said, "Oh, I remember you. You were a good amateur fighter. Are you still fighting? Did you turn pro?" And no. He says, "Well, why don't you come visit me? At this gym, we had this police athletic league gym, and maybe you can help." It turned out that I'll stop by once in a while. One day, and then it came 2 days a week. 6 months later, there was 2 or 3 kids said, "Oh, I want to train with him." A year later, it was kind of like I turned into the head coach, and I just dedicated I got sucked in, but it was my passion. I dedicated, then it became from where some other coaches were going 1 or 2 hours, it became where 5 days a week I was going 5 hours every day. Like my kid sort of kind of was with me all the time and grew up around that. And I was there every day, getting home at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I would work another job and then go do coaching that. And then over time, like I said, I got opportunities to work under some good professional head coaches. I was very fortunate of that. I always said it wasn't about just being part of the game. It was doing it well and being and with the right people. And I learned under a lot of several different styles, learn what to do, what not to do, as you go along. And worked my way up. I'm very fortunate. I'm very appreciative to all the fighters who allowed me to be part of their team. along the way. Even the current fighters like now who like her, who trust me to guide them.
Yeah.
Because they're the stars. You know, I'm kind of like the GPS in the Ferrari, you know?
Yeah.
I just there guiding them. And so I've done that over the years. I still volunteer with the kids, but primarily nowadays, most of my energy is spent with professional boxing and being the boxing coach for professional MMA athletes.
Okay.
Because they have different coaches, because there's different disciplines in the MMA. So again, I've been blessed that all of my athletes, both in boxing and MMA, are what you would say elite A-side fighters.
Okay.
You know, or even elite up-and-coming prospects. You know, it wasn't just, for me, it was never just about a check or just about saying I was there. I was like, if I'm going to be there, I want to be with the best, involved with the best, around the best. I want to accomplish things and have these memories that you think about later in life.
So I got one guy, he had his birthday. His name is Rayon, one of my godchildren, and he wants to be a fighter. So I can bring Rayon to you,
Sure.
and you can see what he got to see if he got that potential. He will love to.
Let me say this. The discipline in boxing and in the training, it doesn't matter if you ever become an actual professional fighter or even a competitive amateur fighter. I tell this to a lot of parents because they're kind of like, oh, boxing, no. And I'm like, wait a minute, you don't understand.
Right.
First of all, it's extremely difficult. And it's something that if you learn to overcome those things, and you learn to overcome the fear, it's very natural for a person to go, oh, somebody's gonna punch me in the face. If you can overcome that, if you can push yourself and will yourself, that can be translated over into schooling, into work, the respect, the drive, the will that you have to put in it, into your own family, your own lifestyle. I say that now. I expect that out of all my fighters, and I'm fortunate to have that.
Well,
But
I'm
that's-
going to definitely bring him down. But you know what? Also, if anybody wants to go down there to get information that you didn't get on the show, I have an email. It's called tko2020@yahoo.com. Just call in and get all the information from these young people, these champions. And we're going to take a break because we got to go to the commercial, Frank. We're going to have to go to the commercial.
Commercial break coming right up. Just on one more note on what Derrick and
Yeah.
Maureen were saying is that there are a lot of life lessons that are learned through training in boxing, and I know that because when I was a young kid, we had a little neighborhood boxing program that I was involved in, and I have to say that does correlate. It's not always about the fight, you know, it's about the training that goes to the fight, to the ring. So I appreciate, and I appreciate Maureen bringing out her story because you know, Mama, as we both know, that I'm an advocate of bringing women to light, the matriarchs like Nancy Sinatra, yourself, that built the families and were never really in the spotlight or got the notoriety that maybe they should have gotten for building the man behind the fame. So
Yes, sir.
thank you, Maureen. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
sharing
Yeah, it's
that.
great to
Excellent
see a
point.
young
As they always
lady.
say, behind a great man, there is always a greater woman.
Amen to that. Amen
you.
to that. So.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and we want everybody to come back because I want everybody to make that call. You want to ask any question to the champion, to the fighter, to the entertainer, or to me, call 888-994-4995. We're going to get your calls. Please call in. We're going to auction off these beautiful memorabilia. We're going to let you know right away how we're going to raise money for these kids and for these schools. Thank you so much. And we're going to get back to our sponsor. We'll see you back in 5.